question about the chute cleaning. Is it just me who thinks about Mary Poppins every time I hear of a chute cleaning? Hello and welcome to the Handy Women YouTube channel. I am your host, Geraldine Anello, and I am the founder of the Handy Women community, which you can find below on the link. We're on Facebook, over 55,000 badass women. And our mission at Handy Women is to empower women with tools. And to do that today, I have Brittany Fraser, who's going to tell us about how she redid her entire fireplace in her house. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so excited about this. So I'm seeing this fireplace behind you and it's spectacular. So can you give me an idea of what it was when you bought the house? What did it look like?
Yeah, so we purchased this house about 3 years ago. It was completely like your traditional red brick. In this room in particular, this is our den. We had some ceiling issues, some gaping. It had like an old like shelf area that just all of it needed to be replaced. So
and you're looking up at the top, is that like, because I just see a little bit of a top part
here. Sorry, I'm
oh, there we go. That makes sense. There's a little bit of a shelf and the crutch above it going all the way up to the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Oh, it looks so good. So so what made you want to completely renovate it instead of just fixing the issues?
So I am a big fan of mid-century modern style. I absolutely love bohemian style as well. So most of my house has plants everywhere. We've got pops of texture, but not a whole lot. So when you actually enter into the front door, you see this room and you see this fireplace from all the way from the front door. So I wanted it to be a statement piece that people would walk in and be like, oh, wow, you know, I want to go in that room. What's that room? So partially that, and also just because I have a heart for design. I actually used to be a graphic designer for about 5 years before I changed my role. And this is a creative outlet for me and I love doing it.
Wow. So you decided to redo it. What was the first step?
The first step was actually cleaning it. It was disgusting. It had never been cleaned. So we didn't actually do the chute cleaning like on the inside of the fireplace because we weren't going to use actual fire. As you can see, this is
I have a question about the chute cleaning. Is it just me who thinks about Mary Poppins every time I hear of a chute cleaning? With the whole like dance they do on the roof and they go down and up, all the guys with their sweepers. Is that just, write in the comment if it's just me, okay? Or tell me if you're the same. Okay. So you did the chute cleaning and then what came next?
So after that, I was just literally just prepping it. So the original mantle that was here was just old and decrepit. I literally took a sledgehammer to it and it out. Yeah, it was great.
Wait, weren't you afraid that more would fall apart than what needed to fall apart?
I was, but typically I'd say I'm kind of sort of experienced, not really like that experienced, but we've actually done a fireplace before. So and only one, so I've done 2 in my lifetime. But whenever I went to do it, the mantelpiece was really secure and I knew that I had to hit it hard, otherwise it wasn't going to come out, you know. So I just went for it and thought, you know, we're going to redo it anyway, so if I need to like replace a couple bricks, that's fine. And it ended up.
How hard was it to do that?
It took me at least 2 hours just because I had to like break in between because of how it was really stuck on there. And if you think about, you know, a sledgehammer and that power, of course, you know, like someone with a little more meat and a little more muscle probably could have done it faster. But it just took some endurance and a couple breaks here and there, you know, and maybe a couple cuss words, but I got it out.
Did you, so I always like to talk about safety. Did you do it with the gloves and the goggles and everything?
No gloves. And I decided to put on a pair of goggles after the first 2 or 3 hits because some wood chipped off a little bit and you get, some old dust and things like that. Honestly, I would suggest if someone's doing that, especially with an older home, to wear a mask. I didn't think about that when I was doing it. And I wish I would have, because it was kind of gross, but you get over the gross parts.
Yeah, like how do you protect everything else in your house? I mean, had you already moved in? Did you have to put plastic sheets over every other piece of furniture?
So we had some furniture in this room, but not a lot. We have 2 living rooms actually, and the front living room in the front of the house is the one we use for TV watching. This is more of like my office space, my tranquil space, so we didn't have a whole lot. We had to move a little bit of furniture, and I ended up not putting anything down on the floor because we were going to get new flooring anyway. We had an old, like, nasty carpet in here, and that was going to go. So I didn't mind so much to get it a little dirty.
Okay, so you took away that mantle. What else did you have to clean after that?
Okay, so the inside of it needed cleaned really bad. And then, of course, the outside. And cleaning, when I say cleaning, it wasn't like super intensive. I basically used like one of those big metal brushes that has the spiky ends. But I had to go in between each of the bricks to get it all out, because you flat surface when you put tile on anything.
Is there a wall soap?
What?
Is there like a soap for wall? Like when you go with that brush, is there some kind of like soap equivalent for a wall?
No, that's a good question, especially with brick. I'm not sure about that. There might be, but I didn't use it. I just
If it's not there, I called it first. This is my Shark Tank idea. Don't take it. Okay, so how long did it take to clean all of that?
I would probably say maybe half a day, because you want to get in there. Like the hardest part about cleaning brick, especially, is just the particulates that come off. So you have to brush and brush and brush and brush again, and vacuum and brush and brush and brush and vacuum. So it takes a while, and it's a labor of love, but you definitely want things to be smooth before you apply the tile. So
I mean, are we looking at one day? Are we looking at a week? Are we looking at a couple hours?
it just depends on how much you want to put into it in said day. So I probably spent a good 2 or 3 days just cleaning it, because you have work in between and kids and life and all that kind of stuff too. But if you have a weekend to devote to it, you could probably get it done, in a solid 4 to 6 hours, if that's all you're doing. But
Okay, so everything is clean. Did we finish the cleaning portion, or was there more for you to clean before you went on to redoing it?
no, that was essentially all I had to do for cleaning.
All right, then what was the next step?
The next step after that really was about prep. I didn't actually lay the tile myself. My husband did. But I will say the very next step after cleaning is really about the design. So that's when I got to go to the store, scour Pinterest and everything, and find the exact tile that I wanted, or the exact look at least. So I knew I wanted to go with, a quite extravagant pattern on the bottom, and then plain on the top. And then we chose just a simple pine for the mantelpiece, and we did a light coating of just like a polymer glaze or whatever.
Can I see it? Can I see it again?
Here we go. I'll do it.
Beautiful. It just looks so natural. So you said you put what? Just not a primer, just stain. You stained it.
Yeah, it's just a very light stain. I think one of the lightest stains that you could probably get. And that was to essentially match the floor that we've got.
Oh, how smart. Oh, that's
Yeah.
And did you buy it pre-cut? Or did you cut it yourself?
We cut it ourselves. We've got all the saws and all the tools to be able to do that. So
And how do you make it hold up?
So I'm not exactly sure how we used, how we actually applied it to the wall. I will say The previous mantle still had wood insets inside of the brick that we could drill into. So that was really helpful. It's actually not drilled into the brick, which is different. You have to have a different drill bit for that. And cement drilling is very difficult too. So I was glad that we didn't have to do that. So we used the existing inset wood block areas to be able to.
What does that look like? What's an inset wood?
It actually, they built, when this brick was built, this is an add-on to the house. So the house was originally built in 1958. And then the original owners did a reno in 1978 and put this den space on it, as well as other things. So the brick is from the 70s. And when they built it, there's a big chunk of wood that they built the brick around. And there's probably at least 3 or 4 that are behind that, that we were able to drill into and have the mantelpiece itself. And then what you do is you build the pieces around it. So it's not a solid piece, but it looks solid from afar.
How many pieces are there?
Let's see, we've got the 2 sides and then the front and then the top and the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the backing that is screwed into it will be, I guess, your first piece. So there's 6 pieces total.
Well, how come we don't see any of it?
The way we built it.
Show it again. I mean, it looks like one solid piece. What in the world?
Here's the front. I think you can see the seams a little bit.
Oh, that's pretty.
And then on the bottom as well. So yeah, from afar, and I wanted it to be.
That's 2 pieces. Where are the other pieces? I'm not gonna let go until I find all those pieces. It's like one of those games, they have for children, like find the car. It's like the Google safety.
Well, we've got the top and the bottom, and then we've got the front, and then the side pieces. And then and then of course you can't see the piece in the back, but that's what you build all of these pieces around.
I am obsessed with things like that. Like that is so cool. Also, it looks amazing. I know I've said it before, but it's amazing. Okay, so this was built, and then what came next?
So let's situate it again. What came next after that was, the mantle is actually the last piece that you build. So we found the tile, and it's so important, especially when you have extremely patterned tile, to lay it out first, because we found out the size of the tile was not perfectly centered where we needed it to be. So you start in the middle and then lay your pieces out, and you have to look really closely. But we had to cut the bottom tile off a little bit and then the top tile off a little bit so that everywhere else looks centered, because you don't want a piece that's off center in the middle or anywhere near where your eye is going to be drawn, because you're just going to stare at that,
That makes so much sense. See, my natural instinct would have been to start at the top.
Right.
Wow.
And I think we tried that, and we tried from the bottom, but we knew just from tiling in the past that we probably should start in the middle, but we've never used pattern tile before. So that was very interesting.
You said you had to lay it out first. Do you lay it out on the ground, or do you lay it out on the fireplace? But then how does it hold up?
We laid it out on the fireplace area, and then it spills over a little bit into the floor, but we made sure and just laid everything out, and then we would hold it up and look at different pieces at different times just to make sure that it was going to be good once we set everything. And then as soon as you start a tile job, it's kind of just like a jump of faith. you hope that all of your planning and everything works out perfectly. And I would say we had a couple of bumps along the way, just from leveraging the sides and figuring out exactly, like here, I'll do a close up a little bit because this is a problem in some cases, but you can tell where the inside there's a little bit bigger gaps, and then there's more of the mortar, but we need to paint a little bit. I'm not completely done. I've got to do some touch-ups, but you can see where some of the gaping is different, but we avoid that as much as possible, especially on the inside of it where you don't notice it as much, but that makes sure that the outside is going to be the pretty part. So
Why was the gaping bigger inside? What was the reason for it?
because the fireplace in itself is not perfectly symmetrical. So this side over here, I think, is a little bit wider than this side over here. And because this is only my second fireplace that we've ever done, I did not anticipate that or expect it. But apparently that can be a thing, especially, if you're using the same type of tile everywhere and it's the same color, or you're just going to paint it, it's probably not going to matter. But we found that out just from having, a very intricate tile was kind of problematic, but we figured it out. And I think it's hard to notice. You have to really get in there and look at it. So
in other words, you have one side with a smaller gap and the other side with a bigger gap to match their size differences.
That's right.
So smart. So how did you make the gap so equal on the fireplace itself between each tile?
So what is wonderful about this tile is it's actually a sheet of 12. So the connector pieces in between each tile are like these, it's almost like this industrial glue. And I wish I had a sheet to show you. I don't know where our extras went, but it's essentially all of these tiles will be a sheet this big of 12. And then there's little nodules in between each one. So it's fairly large. And then you lay that large piece out. So we didn't lay each individual tile, but the big 12 by 12 sheets.
Are they peel and stick?
No, they are, I want to say porcelain. I can't remember off the top of my head what type they are, but we found them at Lowe's. So
and they come in sheets. I just expected them to come in a package, what do you put under your drinks, like the roasters?
Yeah,
come into like that. Well, you know why? I actually come to think of it because I've spent time in Portugal, and Portugal is known for their tiles. They have gorgeous tiles, and they sell them at the airport. So I've spent quite a bit of time waiting for my flight, looking at all the different beautiful tiles, and they always come usually by 4, and they're put like that. But I suppose they do use them for drink roasters. Come to think of it. Yeah. Okay. So you were saying there's the glue that it came with on the sheet of 12. And what do you do with the glue?
It's already solidified. So those just keep them together to make the big, large sheet. And you don't have to do any extra prep or anything. You literally just grout right over it because they're so small. And it makes projects like this go so quickly and so smoothly because, girl, I don't think I would have the patience to lay individual tiles.
That's what I thought you did. So I don't understand, how does it stick there then? Is it how can you keep 12 together and put them up at the same time?
That's why I wish I had on hand some extras to show you because it's very interesting. And it was probably the first time that I actually came across a product like that. I had never seen that of any of the stores that we frequent or even online when, purchasing things. But essentially, if you could just imagine just little dots of glue, but they're kind of big. So there'd be 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 1, 2. And then it keeps the sheet of 12 together, and it kind of it flops around a little bit. So it's moldable in a sense, but it all stays the same. It all stays together. So I guess without an example, it's hard to explain. But
you're pulling the pieces around them instead of behind them.
Putting what?
How does it stick? Is the glue behind it or is the glue around it?
So when it comes to actually laying the tile, the glue is in between each of the tiles. So it comes like that. So it's like a little, a dime size, I would say, like a ball of glue that keeps them together. And then when you put them on, of course, you do your base coat of I can't even remember what my husband used, but you do your base coat and then you stick the tile on there with the whole sheet in and of itself. And then you do all that and then you put the mortar on afterwards, or the grout.
Mortar, grout, now I'm with you. Okay.
Don't glue we didn't glue them on. They come like that purchase so that all the tiles are together.
How did you cut the tiles?
With a tile cutter. So we have a wet saw for cutting tile, and it's your run of the mill. I mean, I think it was maybe $80 just at a department store. But what we had to do and make sure while we were laying everything out and as we were placing is to make sure that we didn't have too many repeats of a lot of the tile patterns. So there were some that we would have to cut out some of the tiles and then do a couple of individual ones. And if you look closely, I've kind of made it into a little game, because I told my husband while we were doing this, was like, we can't have matchups. And we do have a couple here or there. So it's kind of funny. And you don't really notice it that much. I thought it would get on my nerves, but it doesn't.
And then did you also paint the vents and the fireplace itself?
So we just used a normal, I think Rust-Oleum spray paint on the vents. And then the brick that's down here, this is actually a stain that we had used on the outside of our house as well, so that it would match. We went ahead and did the stain all the way back on the brick because we are not using the fireplace to have a real fire in. That is something that I didn't understand at first, but we aren't using the fireplace to have real fire in it anyway. It's just this electric thing that we've got going on. But you have to make sure and look up the right type of paint or the right type of stain that can withstand that heat. Yeah, and I found that out after I painted it.
No. How did you even find out then?
Well, my husband actually knows a lot about paint and paint products. That's actually part of his job. So that was one of his call outs before we even painted it. And I said, well, we're not going to have a real fire in it anyway. We're just going to have an electric one. So it shouldn't matter. And it won't. It'll be fine. But he did say that if you use the improper product on, especially in the inside of a fireplace, it can become toxic, and it can also start bubbling and like peeling and stuff. So that, for people who want to redo their fireplaces and actually have a real fire in it, you definitely need to think about your product before you.
In the comments, did you paint your fireplace? What paint did you use? Are you intoxicating yourself? Let me know in the comments. Okay, and then and the stain for the bottom, you said it was just staining or also painting?
It's just stain. So I did 2 coats, and then I'll also show you what we did to finish it out. So we used just a regular quarter round at the bottom and just nailed that in and then painted that. And that was after we had the new flooring put in. And you can see I still need to clean the stain off of the floor.
Color. How did you find the
I'm sorry. How did I find the what color?
Exact same color.
It's painted as well. So I went ahead and just used the stain on it, and so far it's held up. I'm not sure if that's a typical thing that you should actually do on it, but it worked.
Wait, what are you not sure is something you should do?
On the quarter round, so typically I would suggest to use regular wall paint and not brick stain. But since it's such a small area and I wanted it to match the color and not be in a white trim, I went ahead and just did it. And I just used 2 coats, the same that I did on the brick, and it seems to be holding up fine. I mean, I've vacuumed around it and bumped it a few times, and it doesn't seem to be scuffing or anything. So I think if it's just a small area and, you're wanting it to match your fireplace, I think it's fine. At least, in my opinion, but who knows?
Bricks are not painted, right? You're just saying that.
Right. So
that's my question. How did you find the paint that matches the color of the brick so perfectly.
It's the stain. I'm sorry, I used the wrong terminology. I didn't paint it. I stained it the same.
Well, no, okay. That makes more sense. I was like, that's just like, is it the same one? Okay. That makes a lot more sense. This is beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was with love, but I love it when people come in the front door because that's the first thing they see if they haven't been in our home before. And it's, oh, the fireplace is so pretty. Thank you.
It really is. Well, if you're watching this, write in the comments, did you redo your fireplace? Do you have a fireplace? Are you inspired to do the fireplace? Write it in the comments. Are you like me and you just wish you had a fireplace? Let me know. And also make sure to like and subscribe for more. Thank you so much, Brittany.
All right. Thank you.